Welcome, everybody, back to the Cowboy Slot Channel. Sunday Slot Talk with the Tech, very special edition. We do have Mark here from Home Slots Fun, who is also going to be our co-host, as well as Vegas Education is here joining us today to talk about today's topic. So before we begin and before I bring those guys on, I wanted to show you guys a couple of really cool features that have come to the website that I actually built. So I built this into the website here. Let me go over here. We have a new casino guide, and this is where you can actually go to this casino guide and you can look up to see exactly what class your tribal casino is. Now, right now, I just have tribal casinos listed on here, but privately owned casinos are coming soon. So we can take a state, let's say Nebraska, for example. Click on Nebraska. Here is every single tribal gaming license in Nebraska. So we have the Lucky 77 Casino, that's Class 2, Prairie Flowers, Class 3, and so on and so forth. So if you are curious about what class your individual casino is in your particular state, you can actually now go and check that out. And also explain here, the different classes, what they mean. So we have Class 1, what that means, Class 2, Class 3, and also if your casino does have both Class 2 and 3, what that means, and also what class is better. So check that out on the website. Really awesome new feature. That is the casino guide. Also, guys, poker chips are available for sale. We have these new Patriot poker chips. We've got those available on the website right now. Proceeds for that do help the channel out tremendously. So if you guys are interested in purchasing some poker chips, head on over there and do that. So without further ado, we've got Mark here from Home Slots Fun, as well as Vegas Education. Also, guys, too, we are approaching 40,000 subscribers very, very quickly here on the Cowboy Slot Channel. So please do keep up liking those videos, share those videos on your social media if you find them helpful, because that really does help the channel. And we'll be doing another giveaway as well at 40,000. So, guys, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about psychology, how people think when they're gambling. How believing all of these myths can really affect your gambling, and just kind of we've got some great examples. Vegas Education is going to talk here about some great examples about psychology in general and how it does really affect your play. So I'm going to give the floor to Vegas Education to kind of break down and talk a little bit about psychology and also introduce himself. And let's welcome him to the Cowboy Slot Channel.
Yeah, so just to introduce myself, I started my channel to be like just talking about Las Vegas. We go vacation there all the time. Like which hotels are the best, restaurants, stuff like that. And then I made a couple slot machine videos, and then those were like super popular. So like that was kind of ironic because I don't really gamble that much. But math has always been my favorite subject in school. I really like, the statistics of everything. So after I started getting into it, doing more research, I started looking at like the specifics of specific machines and started like creating some simulations of machines. And that kind of put me in touch with some like game designers and some really smart people. And that's when my knowledge of slot machines, really kind of took off. So like, yeah, just say I'm a normal guy that likes math. I don't know. To the psychology of it, I think one of the biggest things is like we're, as humans, we're like predisposed to, make observations and, like if I touch something hot that, I get burned and bad things happen. So don't touch hot things anymore. And so we do that with all aspects of our lives, like just making observations and then seeing what comes of it. One of the things I've written down is a psychology experiment called the Skinner box. It was a guy named Skinner. He put a bunch of pigeons in boxes and then trained them to give them food when they did specific things, like they'd push a lever or they would push a button or something, and then they'd get food. And then he started just randomly giving them food at like different intervals. And pigeons would think like, what did I do to deserve this? So then they would be like, whatever I was doing, was I, spinning around in a circle, or was I pecking at something? So that must be what it is. So they start, spinning around in circle, and then they just keep doing that all day long. And eventually they would just randomly get food. And, then the pigeon thinks, well, that obviously was what did it. I spun around in a circle for long enough, and eventually it worked. That's exactly what it was. But they forget about, that it didn't work all day long. But once it does work, that confirms exactly what they were thinking. That's just one good example of psychology. And we do the same thing with slot machines. That I think if I don't put my player's card in, that I'm going to win. And so you put your player's card in and you do win, and you forget all about that. But you don't put your player's card in, and then you don't win. But eventually you do win, and you're like, oh, that's exactly what it was. I didn't put my player's card, and I won a huge jackpot.
So when you think about like I was trying to think like because I think there was a Gamble Glow mentioned it too, the Pavlov's dog, the whole salivating when it's time to get fed and stuff like that. Is it human nature to just try to look for patterns and to make sense of what is actually going on? And I think that's where a lot of danger comes from, and where all these myths get started in gambling, is just because everybody, as a human being, you feel like everything has an explanation, whether it's something that you believe it's faith-based, or it's something that is published by, scientists, or something that has a lot of fact behind it. Do you feel that is basically kind of what's going on when we go into a casino and start gambling on slot machines, is that we're trying to make sense out of what is going on? And sometimes it's difficult because you're just looking for patterns, and you want to explain why something hit, why something didn't hit, why the machine feels cold, why does it feel hot, that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. We're trying to make sense of everything, and we can't just accept, that something was random. We feel like we have to have control of everything. That, something I did caused this. What was the cause of it?
Yeah,
it's like that in just all aspects of our lives. We just can't accept randomness.
So, yeah, go ahead, Brantley.
Too, the other thing that's really important to remember is when the casino industry started. So we have to look at where all of these myths and legends and all of that actually came from. When the casino business first started, when gambling really first started taking off here in this country, it was a completely different time. I mean, you had the mafia and, all this secrecy and all of these tricks being done. And it was essentially run by, tricksters and, really, really awful people. And that's kind of molded the shape of the casino industry, even though it's completely not like that today. But that's kind of where those myths and legends come from. And it's really hard to get those out of people's minds. It's kind of one of those things. I know I'd mentioned this before. It's almost like Santa Claus. If you go and you tell a 5-year-old Santa Claus is not real, what's their immediate reaction? Their immediate reaction is going to be anger. They're going to try to explain themselves. No, Santa Claus is real. And I know it's real for a fact because, mom and dad told me. The casino industry is the same way. So when you have experts that come on and they say, this is how the casino industry is, it's almost that same thing, because you have all these people out there that are like, no, it can't be. I know it's rigged. I know my player's card does this. I know they turn up the odds and turn down the odds. I know it for a fact, when really it's almost like a Santa Claus effect. It's like, no, they don't. You've just believed it long enough to think that it's the truth. And, unfortunately, and I know we kind of touched on it too, the internet has been a blessing and a curse, because you can go on the internet and you can find anything to back up your own beliefs, whether it's true or not. People do it all the time. They do it all the time for all different topics. If you honestly believe that the player's card affects your play, there's hundreds of videos out there where you can go and, there's conspiracy theorists and people out there that will back you up, but it's not true, and it doesn't make it true. And you could have all the experts in the world tell you it's not true, but if you have those folks out there that they go and they purposely look for something that backs up what they're thinking is correct, of course they're going to find it on the internet. And that's kind of another danger. And also, the casino, there is a lot of psychology that goes into it. It's not that, the casino is not out to trick you. They want you to come back. Their all-time goal for the casino industry is you come in, you win a jackpot, they praise you, they give you free rooms, they give you free food, they give you all of this stuff. They make you feel really, really great because their goal is they want you to come back and reinvest that jackpot. And that's kind of the biggest thing that the casino does. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but just the fact that, if you go into the casino, like you said, if you go into the casino specifically looking for things or thinking like, oh, this machine's hot or this machine's cold, or, oh, I didn't win today, so it must be because, well, I go to the casino every Tuesday morning and I don't win. It must be the time of day, because you're naturally going to correlate to that. There's no truth behind that at all. It's just your natural correlation. The human mind is built to do that. And any psychologist will tell you that. Anybody with a psychology PhD will actually tell you that, yes, that is how the human mind operates. You're going to look for stuff like that. And in gambling, it can be dangerous. And that's why, we try to get the facts out there. Like, look, the Players Club card does not affect your play. The time of day that you go does not matter, has no effect at all. It's just this is how the machine is built. This is how the machine works. And the casino has no reason to change any of that. And that's just kind of my little tidbit on that.
Yeah. Like the casino's goal is just to get you to cycle more money through. Like everybody always says like the casino must not be fair. It's not fair. I mean, be careful with the wording here, because it's, we can't say that it's rigged, because it's not rigged. They do exactly what they say they're going to do. Rigged means that they're going to not do what they say they're going to do. They do exactly what they're saying they're going to do. The odds are not in your favor. If you had a game that, you're going to flip a coin and it costs $1 to play, and so the odds are 50-50, you should get $2 every time you win. But, the casino might give you $1.75 or something. And then you play it for a long time and you're like, I'm not winning. What's going on? They must be cheating. Well, it's like they tell you straight up, you're only getting $1.75. The odds were never fair in the first place. They don't need to cheat. They do exactly what they say they're going to do.
Exactly.
Right. And they're going to make their money, and they don't have to manipulate the machines. I mean, they buy the machine, they set the payback percentage, and it sits there on the floor, and they don't need to touch it. They don't need to monkey with the payback. It takes millions of spins before that gets realized. I mean, it's just, they don't need to touch it. They're going to make money on that machine by just plugging it in and leaving it alone. And exactly. So they don't need to screw with you, and they don't need to tighten it or loosen it or try to meet their budgeting goals, or not budgeting, but, revenue goals. They don't need to touch any of that. Because it's all theoretically. They know when they buy a machine and they set it at a certain percentage that the lifetime that machine is there, it's eventually going to get close to that percentage, and they can just let it sit there. I mean, we talked about the difference between, say, a slot machine and a table game. Well, a table game, you have to employ somebody, all day long to deal cards to a maximum of 5 or 6 people. It's very costly, to run that, and that's a high percentage game in favor of the player also. But slot machines, I don't know, 500 to 1 slot technicians, if you put 500 machines per one slot technician, I mean, that's cheap. And so they don't need to do anything. They just put them in there and let them run their thing.
There's also a lot of security and stuff that goes along with table games, and more stuff to it besides, and table games also have the opportunity for, advantage players and cheaters and stuff like that, where it's very hard to be advantaged in slot machines, or, to cheat slot machines. I don't know that you could actually cheat a slot machine.
Yeah, right. Oh, people will tell you that you can, but you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's just psychology is huge in the casino industry. I mean, obviously, people do have, gambling addictions, and addiction, obviously, you can talk to any psychologist. There's alcoholism, there's drug addiction, there's gambling addiction. These are all things that are in the human mind. It's literally your mind that plays a huge part in how you gamble. And that's one thing. Like, the casino does not need to do any tricks. The only thing that I would say that the casino actually does is they try to entice you to come back by any means necessary. So they'll give you free rooms, they'll give you free meals, they'll give you, if you win a jackpot. I know there's some casinos, Indiana does this, Indianapolis Grand Casino. If you win a jackpot, like, every week they have like a party or a get together for, you get a special invite to this party because you won a jackpot. They want you to come back to reinvest that money. And again, that's going to be your choice whether you go back or not. But that's one thing that the casino does do psychologically, is all of the getting you hyped up and giving you free rooms and free play, and the host, always coming over to cater to you and talk to you. They want you to reinvest that money that you've won, which is why casinos love high limit players. That's why high limit players, casinos will do anything and everything to get you back. It doesn't matter, because they know that you have the money and they want that money. So they're going to try to get you to come back. But as for the machines or the operation of the casino, there's nothing the casino has to do special by any means necessary to get that money. That's going to happen. So
yeah, they want that jackpot to be as much like a dopamine experience as possible. And
Right.
so like, you win a jackpot and, they play it up to be, give you a free room, give you a free suite or whatever. And another thing with that dopamine thing is, like, say you're playing $5 per spin and you win $2, like, you lost money on that spin. It should, like, not do anything, but the lights are flashing and it's winner, but, like, you lost money. It's still wanting to give you that rush of, like, oh, I won. And it's like, that's the entire casino experience.
So obviously we're not into the question and answer portion right now, but Gamble the Globe actually just said something really good, and I want to put it up on the screen because it's very, very, very true. Gamble the Globe says, when it comes down to it, your perspective is your reality. What you experience, real or not, becomes your perception and your reality. And that is 100% true, especially with the casino.
That's a good way to put it.
I could not have said it better myself. I think that really sums it up. And there's a lot of folks out there, and I know, again, we talked about the internet and stuff like that, but there's a lot of folks out there that if you believe, ask any psychologist, go to anybody that is a licensed psychologist and ask them, if you believe a lie long enough, does that become the truth in your own mind? And the answer is yes, it does. So a lot of times, the folks out there that say, this is, it is this way, it is this way, this is what the casino does, and I know it for a fact. It's like, well, it's not a fact. You've just believed that lie long enough that you think it's a fact. So, and that's true. Ask any psychologist. There's a lot of, there's a lot of people out there. We could sit here all day long, and I know I keep using the players card, but we could sit here all day long and I can show you all the evidence in the world. I can bring in all the experts. We have brought in experts about this. The players card does nothing for the game at all. It has no effect. It has no connection. There's nothing at all about it. But you still have those people out there that are like, nope, no matter what you say, I'm going to believe it that, players club card affects the game. And just like what Gamble the Globe said, it's their reality. And I couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you very much, Gamble the Globe, for that. I really, really appreciate it.
There's also a lot of telephone game going on with this. You experience something and you tell somebody next to you, or they ask you, how many spins did it take? Oh, that was my first spin. And so they pass that on saying, oh, you can win at that machine on just your first spin. And telephone game is one of the oldest things I remember from grade school doing. And eventually it gets around, and the original fact gets further and further from the origin, the further down the line it goes. And I think that happens a lot with these myths too, is that it may start with something that was actually pretty close to being true, but every time it gets passed down, it just gets a little worse and worse and more far-fetched. And so that, combined with just the, not really knowing sometimes what the truth is and who to trust to get the truth, those two things combined just is a recipe for disaster. And that's why we do these shows, because it's so difficult to sort out what is the truth with all this stuff. And at the end of the day, like you said, Brantley, we can only show so much. You still have to make up your own mind. And we are totally 100% on board with that. If you still firmly believe something, like you just have better luck when you don't use your player's card, even though we say it doesn't make any difference, if it works for you, just do it.
Yeah.
And anybody that's telling you otherwise is not really giving you the best advice, in my opinion. I think we can only tell you and suggest based on our experience and background, and you have to make the final call whether you want to believe it or not. But do your research. Don't just listen to us. The more people that you see and listen to and look up, a pattern of answers will start to exist, where you start hearing many people saying the same thing, but a small few people saying something else. And that should help weigh in what you should really believe. What is the larger group of people, believing. And I think that's the challenge. It's an uphill battle. We talked about that before we went live today. This is an uphill battle. We understand that. But we will do whatever we can to bring experts on to try to, give you as much information so that you can lay it all out in front of you and say, this is what I'm going to believe from now on. So
exactly. And that's
one
always
thing I
been
was going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say is thinking that past results predict like future outcomes, that, you go to like the Bellagio and you don't win there and you're like, oh, the Bellagio sucks. So like I won when I went to the Luxor. So the Luxor is great. Or this machine, I didn't win on this one and I did win on this one. So this one must be good and this one must be bad.
That's a tough question we get to, is like, what's your favorite casino to play in? It's like, well, the last trip, Bellagio was great, but the trip before that, it was terrible. It's like, so what's your real answer there? It's just any of them.
Right.
But yeah, I know what you mean. It's tough.
Another thing I was going to add to like take this psychology thing to another a different direction is like, you should have a plan when you go to the casino, because say you win a bunch of money and then you don't have any plan and you're like, well, I need to keep playing, because what if I win more? But it's like, you can't just accept that, I won, I should probably quit. Or, having some sort of plan to what you're going to do could make all the difference.
Yeah, that is a good point for psychology, especially because, I've experienced this. I'm sure, Brantley, you've experienced this, but you always have a plan when you go into a casino. I think most people probably do. They probably bring, their budget, a couple $100. But as soon as something happens inside of the casino where they hit a jackpot or they lose all their money, it seems like the logical reasoning portion of your brain just leaves and you start making reckless decisions. And I think that's, and like you said, Vegas EDU, that is the casino. Like that's how that's the intention. The intention is to get you in and get you excited and, just to keep playing. And your budget and your plan and everything can go out the window so quickly. Because they're designed to take all that, the whole not showing the outside, no clocks or anything anywhere, all of those different types of layouts. I think all that plays a part in for you to forget what it is that you plan to do when you got there.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do want to say is when it comes to actually playing in the casino, we have said it so many times on this channel and also on you guys' respective channels as well. There is no magic trick to beating slot machines. There is no magic trick to beating slot machines. There's no, there's no special trick that you can do. there are things that you can do to, pick better machines. Like you can look at the volatility of a machine. You can go in with a set budget. You can, stay within that budget. You can try to not get hyped into all of the, all of the flash and all of these new games with all these crazy symbols and stuff like that, all over the place. Like if your goal is to, I have a budget and I want to go in and I want to try to double this budget, there are things that you can do to better your chances, but that's still never a guarantee. And, that's one thing is you have to understand the psychological aspects of the casino. You have to understand, all of the flashy lights, all of the, all these new games with all the, all these bells and whistles and, all of this. It's meant to be a distraction for you, the player. It's meant to entice you in to play that. But if you go in and you're smart about it and you do your research and you understand, the operation aspect behind it, and you're like, okay, I've got a budget in my mind. I know for a fact that, this, because I'm only going to make X amount, according to these percentages and stuff like that. If you go in with that mentality, you can do better. It's still not a guarantee to win, but you can do better at the casino to better your chances. And that's one of the things that psychology is extremely important in the casino. In general, is you have to get all of that. You have to understand that it is a psychological trap when you go in, for sure. There was another comment on here. I'm going to pull this up from Joan. She made a good point. If you tell a big enough lie enough times, people will believe it. And that is very true. And like we said before, the internet has been a blessing and a curse. There's a lot of things on the internet that, if you can go on the internet right now and you can look up anything. I think, Mark, you had mentioned something like go up and look up, I don't know, do cucumbers cause cancer? And I'm sure you'll find, right. I'm sure you'll probably find an article.
Yeah, somebody will say
yes,
something. Yeah,
but then you'll probably find an article that says yes, but then you'll find all these doctors and experts that say no. So
right.
Yeah, so that's definitely kind of the psychology aspect of it. Anyway, what else, guys? Do you want to give some closing remarks on psychology, and then we can move into some question and answers?
I don't know. It's really just quit believing what you want to and actually use your head on. So I feel like some of this, if you step back and look at it from a outside perspective, it's like a lot of this is kind of obvious, and I don't know, people just don't want to look at it like that. They want to believe, I can beat the casino and I can win. I just have to do whatever. So I don't know, use your head.
Yeah, that's sage advice. I mean, that's a good way to sum it all up is, use your head, do your own research. We all know that this is a psychological nightmare for people. It seems like you were saying, Vegas EDU, like when you take a step back and you take it at the 10-foot level or whatever, and you're looking in, it makes total sense. But as soon as you walk into a casino, it's like you just start, all that stuff goes out, I mean, and I know all of this stuff, but I still, even when I play the machines at home, I'll hit a jackpot and say, I'm not going to play that machine for a while, even though I know that it doesn't make any difference. The next spin could be a jackpot also, but it's like, there's just something in the brain that is just so susceptible to those things. When real money is involved, that's where we get a little nervous and want to get the word out that, there is a lot of psychology to this, and it can really take over your thought process and your logical reasoning. And it's tough. It's very difficult. Because the casinos are laid out in a way that they don't want you to sit and think about what time of day it is and, whether you're hungry or not or anything like that. They want to keep your butt in that chair and playing as much as possible. And they don't want and that's why there's free drinks and alcohol and everything. And I always recommend never drink while you're playing or gambling, because I think your logical reasoning is already impaired in my opinion. And when you add alcohol to it, I think it gets even worse. But anyway, that's my summary of it too. But it's actually a good caveat into Bonus Time Slots is here. They just put a comment up here. Let me see.
Bonus time slots. If you can't believe the actual facts, please seek gambling addiction help. Guys, gambling addiction is a real thing. It is a real thing, and that's why we really hit this hard on this channel. We're not trying to be preachy. We're not trying to tell you what to do, but from working in the casinos myself, I have seen gambling addiction firsthand, and it does get very serious for a lot of people. On this channel, we do offer tons of resources. If you go to ropethejackpot.com, I have a whole section for problem gambling. In the description of every single video at the bottom, there is a 24/7 national helpline. Exactly. Just know, guys, when you go into the casinos, if you go into the casinos with just the facts, and if you go into the casinos with a plan, then you're going to have a better time, and you're going to, have a better chance of leaving with a profit. But if you're going into the casino with a lot of these myths in mind, it can really distract from your play. And that's why I tell you guys over and over again, things like, time of day does not matter at the casinos, period. It doesn't matter. The casinos do not change their odds, period. We have said that. We have had experts say that. It's black and white. They don't do it. So it doesn't matter if, but if you have that in your mind of like, oh, I have to go Tuesday morning, you're putting yourself in a bad position, because that's kind of that little spark. And then you're going to go in and you're going to, start playing. And it's like, you kind of forced yourself to go because, you were told that, a weekday morning is better or whatever. That's feeding into it. So that's why I say, just stick to the facts, guys, and you can do a lot better at the casino for sure.
Well said.
So why don't we do this? Let's move into some question and answers. So guys, we got 3 of us here today. We're going to move into some question and answers. Guys, if you have questions about casino psychology or anything to do with the casino psychology, anything relating to today's topic, that will be great. We will prioritize those comments. So let's see what we've got. What we've got going here with the questions. There's a lot of questions coming up. So let's see. We've been talking for a minute, so we got quite a few guys. If you see any questions on there, then let me know.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm pretty good at like the math and statistics. I like that type of stuff. If you want specifics on, which game, should I play Dragon Link or Lightning Link, is like, that's not my forte at all. Like, I like math. And
I will say, I do want to do a big shout out to Vegas EDU though, for the video that you did on, how machines actually work. And if you really want to dig into the math and how, it does take millions of spins before it balances out. He uses what's called a par sheet, which basically gives you the winning combinations and all that kind of stuff. And that's how you can really, because we get this question every single week. Wait a minute. You said it was random. So if it's random, why is there a payback percentage? Like that, what do those two have to do with each other? And so you did a good job explaining that. So make sure to check that video out on his channel if you want to watch kind of a more in-depth view of how that actually works. And I think that's a fantastic use of your mathematical skills, because it really does explain it well,
I feel like that video is like every slot machine player should watch that video, but it's so dense with information.
It is.
Like, I just want to know when to push the button to win.
Yeah, that's kind of why I gave the caveat. It's like, if you really want to know, that's a good one to watch. But if you're just wanting advice on which one to play, that's a little trickier.
For sure.
But
so hey, we got some questions coming in. This one comes from GB Commander Fox. Have casinos, or do casinos pump oxygen or perfume scents into the casino? So none of the casinos that I worked for did that. They do not pump oxygen into the casinos, but casinos have very, very good high-powered filtration systems. A lot of the casinos, the ones that I worked at, we have several vents on the floor. You might see them if you're walking around, and they force the air up, and then it sucks the air out of the ceiling, and it basically keeps a strong flow of air going through there that's fresh air. It's not necessarily oxygen, but it's just purified air. As for perfume scents, yes, they do. Some casinos actually do that. The Venetian in Las Vegas is notorious for doing that. It's not a problem or anything. It's just to keep the casino nice and, smelling good and smelling fresh. The Venetian's scent that they use is actually so popular. I think they actually made a perfume out of it. You can buy it in their gift shop. So yes, they do. Casinos do that.
I was going to say at the Bellagio, they run the air through the conservatory before pumping it out to the casino.
Yep. There you
and
go.
then to do the oxygen, like you would have to use so much oxygen to even make a difference, and then like that would be a fire hazard.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah, so no oxygen is pumped. No oxygen is pumped through the casino for sure. Gamble the Globe psychology. The sounds and lights are always flashing and ringing. Yes, they are, because that is playing into your psychology. There's lights and bells and excitement. It's to hype up that dopamine and give you that rush. For sure. Yes, they do that. William Barry, can slot manufacturers legally program the machine to give a short win streak as long as they stay in the programmed RTP? I'll have all three of this answer it at the exact same time. How about that? So on the count of three, let's all three answer it together. 1, 2, 3. No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. No.
It wouldn't be. It's not necessary.
Right.
And it also would like throw off, like if you add a short streak of losses, like you're gonna have to compensate for that later. The statistics, it forms a bell curve. If you cut off one side of it, you're screwing up the whole bell curve there. It also, one thing people don't understand is like streaks are very common in statistics. Like you flip a coin 100 times, you're likely to get a streak of like, I think it's like 8 heads in a row, or, heads or tails, but it's like 8 in a row or something like that. And it's like, people just don't understand that, of like how common streaks are.
Yeah, and that's the whole hot and cold philosophy that people talk about with slot machines, and it's just a feeling, but it's not.
Streaks are expected.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. And we had
losing and winning streaks.
We had talked about this in the interview that we did with the casino. It's actually the main video on my page, the highlighted video about, can machines program, and actually the main tech specifically said you cannot program a machine to have, a certain set like set wins,
scheduled payouts.
You cannot program any kind of a scheduled payout or anything like that. That's not in the programming of a machine. It can't be done. It's not done. It just does not happen.
I think I think the funniest thing for me is that I think slot machines are actually incredibly simple. In Vegas, you probably agree with me there. I think people think it's way more complicated than it really is. You don't need to know calculus and all this kind of stuff to figure it out. It's a random number generator spitting out a number. It looks it up on a pay table and it gives you a result. That's it. Like there's no time of day. There's no, I need to catch up because this is getting a little too low. It's all, like you said, statistics. It takes a long time for something to balance out. And it's very simple. They're very simple machines. I think people they try to take it to the next level, thinking that there's some kind of manipulation going on, or scheduled wins and losses and cold and hot and all that kind of stuff. It's just not how they're programmed.
Exactly. I got a question, not a question, but a comment here from Preston. This is why you are the fastest growing slot channel on YouTube, bringing the truth and professionalism to gambling. Thank you for being honest and clean. Well, thank you very much, Preston, for your comment. I just want to say we are getting better every single day. Actually, this is a good time for those of you that are just now joining in. I want to show you something new that I have added to the website of ropethejackpot.com. Let me pull it up here. So if you go to the main page of ropethejackpot.com, there is a new casino guide. If you click on that, this has a list of all tribal casinos in the entire United States. This was actually a list that was sent to me by a viewer of the channel on Patreon. who actually had the PDF document from the National Indian Gaming Council. And he sent me the actual PDF that lists every single tribe's license and what license it is for every single state in the country. So like if we click on North Dakota, we can see here is a list of every single place that has a gaming license that is a tribal owned. No private casinos are on here yet. And you can actually look and see exactly what class that individual casino is. There is a breakdown that explains the classes of gambling. What if your casino has class 2 and 3, what that means, and which class is better. So that is something that I've added new to the channel. And just to kind of go into Preston's comment, we are always looking to improve. I'm trying to build up the channel to be a place where you guys can come and get all of your information, and it's accurate and it's backed by experts. And that's why, here on this channel, we bring people in to talk to you guys. We love having guests on our show. Today we've got Vegas Education on the show. Complete math whiz, excellent at math, has done some amazing videos on his channel. So yeah, we are always looking to improve the channel, and that's exactly what we do here. So thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Let's see here. We do have a lot of questions, guys. So if we do miss any, I apologize.
Yeah, Brantley, go to 12:34 p.m. from Rhonda.
12:34. Let's see, 12:34 from Rhonda. There we go. All right, question from Rhonda. I'll let you take this one, Mark.
Oh, okay. I was just calling it out, but okay.
Oh, okay.
So I hit the major on the tall flaming buffalo machine 2 weeks in a row. Does it matter which one I play? Are the odds more likely if the jackpot is higher, like $700 or $500? No, the only time the odds improve on progressive amounts is when it's a must hit by progressive, which most machines are not must hit by progressives. But in theory, whenever you have a must hit by, let's say that's a $9,000 progressive and it must hit by 10,000, the closer you get to that 10,000, your odds are starting to improve to hit it. But as for just ones that aren't must hit by, they can go on for forever. And even if they have a cap, the odds are still the same to hit that progressive, even if they're maxed out. So your odds don't change. But the advice is always, if you see a bank of machines, let's say it is a flaming buffalo machine, and they don't have linked progressives, you need to look at all of the ones on that bank and pick the one that has the highest progressive. Not because your odds are better, but because if you are going to hit the progressive, why would you not want to hit the one that is the highest? So that's the one to look for.
Really quick, just want to interrupt. August Ice. So when I was explaining about the website for Class 2 and 3, I said right now there's only tribal casinos listed. When I said private, I kind of misspoke a little bit. When I said private casinos, I meant non-tribal casinos. So these would be things like MGM, Caesars, all the big corporations that don't have a tribal license. So like, for example, in
commercial,
exactly. That's a much better word for it, commercial. So just want to clear that up. I apologize for that. I did misspeak on that. So I didn't want to confuse anybody. But yes, commercial casinos for sure. And we do have Tammy here today. Tammy is our moderator. I always like to give a shout out to Tammy. She's in the comments, keeping everything in check. And she's also, Tammy provides great information in the comments as well. So thank you, Tammy. We appreciate it.
She's always on top of it.
She's very on top of it. I tell you,
she's good.
She is amazing. Let's see. Here's a question from Rick. This was a follow-up to another commenter's. Here's the original one, I think, from Vaughn. Hello, gentlemen. Please say more about how the machines seem to show a near miss often. I believe that this happens too often just to be a coincidence. And then another viewer, Rick, followed up with this comment. The laws that don't allow near miss shows expired. It is intentional to keep you spinning. This is actually something I'm going to put the original comment up on here from Vaughn. Mark, do you mind to explain this a little bit, because you know a lot about this for sure. This is kind of your wheelhouse.
So yeah, back in the day, talking the late '90s, early 2000s, there were rules against purposely programming near hits. It's not a near miss. I hate that. It's so backwards in this English language. It's a near hit. Those were not allowed to do that. And I think it was more of a psychology thing. They didn't want people to get that feeling that I almost hit, so I'm going to keep playing. But that has since gone away, and they can program the machines to give you the 2 bonus symbols, and then the third one almost hits. And that's it's a psychology thing too. That's a great way to keep you playing when you feel like you almost hit it. But that doesn't really mean anything. You didn't almost hit it. You were as far away from not getting the first 2 bonus symbols.
Exactly.
What I was going to say about that is the reels are weighted, and so you might have it. Like it might say you have. It's hard to explain without like getting to a depth. Like you have to go watch that video that I posted. Say you have like 6 symbols on one reel, 6 symbols on the next reel, 6 symbols on the next reel. They're not 1 and 6 for each thing. You know, the one symbol might have 100 of them, and one symbol might have 50 of them, and another symbol might have 2 of them, and the jackpot symbol might have 1 of them. Well, there might be more jackpot symbols, so you're more likely to get a jackpot symbol on the first reel and the second reel, but not the third reel. The third reel might be super rare. You know, like McDonald's used to do that with like the Monopoly board.
Right.
So you're super likely to get Park Place, but you're never
going to find Boardwalk. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's the same thing. Right.
Yeah, good point. It's psychology.
EJ Laughs a Lot is here. EJ has a question. Hey, Cowboy, are odds different with cash or voucher? I hit a random jackpot major prize on Lightning Cash. How rare is that? The first part of the question, are the odds different with cash or voucher? The answer is no. The odds of the machine are exactly the same. They do not change whether you're using cash or voucher. And hit a random jackpot major prize on Lightning Cash. That's really good. That's awesome. I love when that happens. We do have some of those must hit by progressives here in Wyoming, and they're pretty cool. I actually enjoy playing them a lot. I filmed a video yesterday. I put $600 into one of these machines, and I got it up to over $3,000 and cashed out. That video is coming soon, guys. So if you enjoy live play videos, be watching for that. That's going to come. That's going to come soon, for sure. Let's see here. We've also got, here's a question from Teresa. How do you know what the pattern is when playing? You really don't. You don't. There's a lot on these, especially on these newer machines. There's so many symbols and reels and stuff. It's the patterns. It's almost impossible. You can't tell that on new machines whatsoever at all.
And that's the psychology thing too. Again, you're trying to explain it. You're trying to look for patterns. I think it's very human of us to look for patterns in what we do. And
exactly.
It's just random.
Nothing. It's random. It's just, but I understand. I understand why you asked that question, because I think it's natural for us to look for patterns in everything that we do. And what a great way to try to explain a slot machine by saying, oh, it's these patterns. Oh boy, that triple diamond symbol sure is showing up a lot. I bet it's going to land soon. You know,
right.
It's not. It's, you know, it could land 3 times in a row, and it doesn't make any difference in the result of the next spin. So
exactly,
it's just what we do as humans. You know, we try to look for patterns which don't exist.
Right. Which that's another thing too. I had talked about this in some previous videos as well. I know my very first video that I made, I had mentioned patterns. That has since been corrected. That has been corrected in some newer videos as well. It was something that I did not explain properly or correctly. So be sure to look for that. There's some new videos out there that have clarified that. Let's see. Let's look for Gamble the Globe. When you go commando, look for the lock to win. Maybe not a slot, but we're winning something. Let's see here. So we do just sifting through some of these questions here. Here's one from Deborah, first time poster. Just wanted to let you know, Brian, of quick Hundy Slots gave you a nice shout out on his live stream this morning. Awesome. I don't know who that is. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to go over there. But thank you very much for that, for Quick Hundy Slots. I appreciate the shout out. If you are watching, shout out to you too. I'll have to come check out your channel. Mark, do you see, am I missing any questions on there?
I gave up looking.
We got a lot. We are just about at our hour too, so we'll just take a couple more questions. Here's one from Jaybird. What's better, Class 2 or 3 machines? Most industry experts would say, and I would say this as well, and I would agree with it. And Mark and Vegas EDU, they might agree with it, they might not. I'll let them chime in on this. Class 3 is known for being the better, because Class 3, you're just playing it's you versus the machine, whereas with Class 2, you've got a bingo server, and you're essentially in with Class 2 machines, you're not playing a slot machine. You're playing the game of bingo that looks like a slot machine. So I will let Mark and Vegas EDU kind of chime in on that. Maybe they have a different opinion. I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
I'm certainly no expert on Class 2 machines, but my understanding of it is it's basically a roundabout way to get to the same thing. So like it might work completely different, but you're doing the same exact, like it's a different way of getting randomness. And so you still have to look at the payback percentage and all that.
And I will recuse myself from this conversation because I do not know anything about Class 2, as I always say. So I know in general, but I couldn't make a recommendation either way. I'll have to trust you, Brantley.
Yeah. Oh, we got Francis here, and we got a $5 super sticker. Thank you very much for that, Francis.
Thanks, Francis.
Those super stickers and those super chats really do help the channel out a lot, guys. We do provide everything 100% free on here. So things like the poker chips and super chats and super stickers, those help the channel out a lot. So we really do appreciate that, guys, very much so. Let's see. Bonus time slots, psychology topic. Any thoughts on the chain style slots? Chain style.
Yeah, got me.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're
bonus time. I'll have to look into it though. I appreciate it for sure. We got Joseph asks, can you explain the difference between Class 2 and Class 3? Really simple. So we do have a lot of videos on this in the library, which Tammy's got some comments going in there and mentioning to go check out the library. And also on the website at ropethejackpot.com, I kind of break down the differences as well. But just in a nutshell, the difference is Class 3 is an actual slot machine. You're playing you versus the machine. You've got the machine is using a random number generator to generate that randomness outcome. Class 2 is actually not a slot machine at all. There is no random number generator. It is essentially you're playing a game of bingo that looks like a slot machine. So it looks like a slot machine. You push the spin button, and what it does is it generates a bingo card, and then it pulls the bingo numbers off of a bingo server, and those numbers that are coming from that bingo server are actually going to everybody else on the floor. So essentially, it's just like the game of bingo. It just happens to look like a slot machine, and then if you win, if you get a 4 corners or a 5 in a line or something like that, then it will give you a visual on the screen using the reels to what you've won. So that's essentially the difference on those. Let's see here.
Could you go to the 12:50 p.m. from G. Reese?
12:50 p.m. from G. Reese. Let's see. Here we go. G. Reese, you explained that RTP percent are determined by the state. You stated that machines cannot go below that percent. Home slots guy stated that it could take millions of spin to reach that percent. It takes millions of spin to reach that percentage, for sure. So the percent,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so yes. So
I think we're all jumping at the bit here. Like
we'll kind of break it down a little bit. So I will just say this: the return to player percent, it is determined by the state. The state, no matter what the slot machine is, it's regulated by the law. So whatever the law says, that is what the percent is stated at. So with the percentage, can it go below that? It can't go below that for like an extended period of time, period of time. It has to reach that percentage eventually.
Right.
But when it's starting out, it takes millions of spins to get to that point.
There's two different terminology here that we're getting kind of confused on too. There's return to player percentages, and then there's the actual payback percentage that's set on the machine.
Exactly.
So the actual payback, the payback percentage that is set on the machine itself, the state does have restrictions on what that minimum threshold can be. So that if it's set to, let's say that the state of Nevada, I think it's 75%. I don't know for sure, but 75%. The casino cannot set it below that amount. But the return to player statistics of that machine could be all over the place, and it could be smaller than that, and it could be way over that. But they know that the game percentage that is set on the machine itself, after a millions of spins, it will eventually get to that point. There'll be a lot of swings, up and down, up and down, up and down, non-predictable swings, by the way, until it finally will get to that payback percentage after it gets through a lot of cycles. But that does not mean that the return to player, if that falls below the 75%, that's perfectly fine and that's expected. I've mentioned it a lot on the videos that I do. I will set a machine to say 93% and run it through a cycle of 3,200 spins, and the return to player is around 23%. So you're saying, well, wait a minute, isn't it supposed to be at 75%? Yes, but that's the payback percentage set on the machine. I'd have to do another 950,000 spins before that 23% gets really close to that 93%. So it's kind of confusing. They're two different numbers, and these get flip-flopped constantly. Return to player is the actual result, but the game percentage is what it's set to. So hopefully that helps. Vegas EDU, if you want, this is another topic for you too. So if you
and this is too,
want to jump in too,
I just want to jump in really quick. This is why I know we mentioned Mark. We mentioned this a lot. Don't get so caught up in the actual numbers of the machine, because they are all over. You've got RTP. You've got you've got this. All these numbers and all these statistics, which really mean pretty much nothing for you guys, the player. But there is too, when we're talking about that, and like Mark mentioned, they get flip-flopped and mixed up all the time. Vegas EDU, I'll let you jump in here because I know this is kind of your wheelhouse too.
So what I was going to say is the minimum payback is really, really low. It might be like 70% or 75%. It's like most casinos are never going to be anywhere close to that because it's so low that it would just be ridiculous to go that low. So like, you can't really look at what the states are saying. And then as far as how it actually works, like say you had a dice that is 100 sides, and like how often is the number one going to come up? Like you would expect that to be 1% of the time. But say you roll the dice 50 times or 100 times, it could be anywhere, way above 1% or, 0. So like you'd say like, well, theoretically, if you roll the dice 1,000,000 times, it's going to start getting close to 1%. It's just a theoretic, and nothing in the state says that it has to get to that, say the machine is 90% payback. Nothing in the state says that it has to hit 90%. It says that it has to theoretically, get to 90. Like that's the theoretical payback. And like the machines work really well. Like they do get to that. Like it's not like you're going to set a machine at 90% and it's just never going to get there. Like it will get there because they're really good at their job. Like it's but it's just math.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, and they run simulations, I'm assuming, to simulate 100, like you did on your program, simulate 1,000,000 spins. And if it doesn't come out close to that payback percentage, well, they probably need to go back and tweak the game table, So
the par sheet will give like, say, at 1,000,000 spins, it's likely to between 85 and 95. And then at 10 million spins, it's likely to be between 88 and 92. And at 100 million spins, it'll be between like, 90 or 89.5 and 90.5. Like as more spins, it's going to get closer. Like it's never going to get exactly that. It's just going to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer until it's acceptable.
Exactly. Looks like we got a couple more questions, and then we'll round out today's live stream. Let's see here. Rosala says, is it a myth that certain or similar slot machines are looser than others based on the location in the casino? Yes, absolutely. That is a myth. That is a myth. And I'll let you guys can confirm that as well.
I've heard like maybe it was true like back in the 50s or the 40s or something like that, but like it's no longer. Like every tech that I've ever talked to, they've said like no, it is like we do not set it by location in the casino at all. The only thing that one tech did tell me was like they like to set the popular games in a dark corner somewhere to like, oh, nobody's been playing these machines here. We better put the Game of Thrones machine back there to get people back there. But that doesn't affect the payback percentage.
Right, and that's the ultimate reason why they move machines around. It's not because they're trying to manipulate the payback. It's just they want machines to get played because they're expensive, and even if they're leased, the leasee, the manufacturer, wants those machines to get played also. And if they put them in some dark corner somewhere and they're not getting played, they're not making money off of that machine. But it has nothing to do, that's completely separate from the payback percentage. And again, you wouldn't even know, even if they did set one of those looser. We were talking about 100 million spins. I mean, how would you ever be able to tell if you played a bank of machines, like 4 machines, and one of them set slightly higher than the other 3? You would never be able to tell that by sitting down in an individual session on those 4 machines of which is the looser machine. And again, do not get caught up in those payback percentages stuff. Even with casinos that advertise it, this bank is 98.6%. So what? That doesn't mean that you're going to win 98 cents of every dollar that you put in there. That does not mean that at all. You'll most likely put $1 in there and lose it all. So, don't get caught up with that stuff because it's just not that important. Budget and all that kind of stuff is way more important than getting caught up with payback percentage.
Exactly. Guys, the slot machines really are not that complicated. That's why we always tell you, don't get so fixated and caught up on, yes, it's cool to see the, all the documents from all the states and everything. And yeah, it can tell you some information, but it's not going to, it does nothing for you, the player. It doesn't tell you how, it doesn't mean you're gonna win or anything like that. So that's why we always say, don't get so fixated on the numbers. It's really not that important in terms of slot machines. It really is not. Gamble the Globe says, pump the meet and greet at G2E before the end. Absolutely. We will be at the Global Gaming Expo in Las Vegas. That is also on the website. If you go to ropethejackpot.com, click on events, that is on there. We are working out a meet and greet with Gamble the Globe and a bunch of other channels. So that will be really, really a fun time. Let's see. It looks like we have a former casino host here in the chat with us. Michael, as a former casino exec host, I tell my guests that if you want comps, play with the card or we cannot see how much you play. Exactly. Guys, earn those comps. Earn those points. If you're going to go to the casino and you're going to spend all your money, you might as well get some free rooms and drinks and stuff like that. It's always important to use those use those points. Get those perks. Anyway, guys, we are at our hour, so that's going to conclude the question and answer portion of our live stream, and that's going to conclude our live stream for today. As a reminder, thank you again, Tammy. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We do this every single Sunday. Every Sunday we come out with we have a new topic, and then we do question and answers after that topic. If you missed the first portion of this video, you can always go back and watch the video anytime. It will stay on the channel, so you guys can watch that at any point. And then just also reminding you guys that at ropethejackpot.com, I do have every single tribal casino in the country listed and what class they are. So if you are interested in learning about classes of gambling or what casino class yours is, you can head over to ropethejackpot.com, click on your state, and it will give you a full breakdown, and it'll also kind of explain exactly what those classes are. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. Mark from Home Slots and Vegas EDU, thank you guys very much for being here. We really appreciate it. And again, guys, if we missed anything, we'll see you next Sunday. So thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks.